Coming up on this edition of Sports Extra, do not mess with Ryan Switzer. Wake Forest learned that the hard way and had to pay the price. We talk about the mountain of shade that rained down upon the Deacons and what it means for the rest of the ACC.
While the football team won, in other news, football lost. How will the men's and women's teams respond to a pitchfork in the road?
Well, you know, everyone's been talking about that new Harrison Ford movie coming out.
Blade Runner?
No. Beard Runner, right?
All that and more?
Sports Extra starts right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Media and Journalism, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics. This is Sports Extra.
Hello there. Welcome to Sports Extra, the UNC Media and Journalism School's only sports, talk, highlights, and analysis show. I'm Rivers Upchurch.
And I'm Jordan Black. We have a lineup so deep for you today, the Carolina basketball team would be jealous. But we'll get to that in a minute. First off, we have to start with the football team. Cornerbacks MJ Stewart and Mike Hughes are suspended from the team. The two are charged with assaulting two men in early October after the win against Wake Forest. Stewart and Hughes are suspended indefinitely and face court dates later this month.
Would these off-field suspensions affect the team's performance on the field? Well, no, not really. UNC dealt the Deacons a decisive demonic dagger. The first quarter started off slowly for the Heels, but the rest of the game was all about the big plays. Here, let's count every play UNC had that was 20 yards or longer. The first play of the second quarter, Marquise Williams to Mac Hollins' 57-yard TD strike. That's number one on the big play count. So that's through the air. Now let's try on the ground. Enter Elijah Hood. We join him mid-stride on a long run, and the very next play, 36-yard TD. This guy got 101 yards on only 8 carries. 8 carries! That's 3. Next up, the deceptive speed of Austin Prohl. What a gritty player. Real blue-collar guy. Check out this 61-yard catch and run. That's number 4 on the big play count. What's a big play ticker without a Marquise Williams run? Check out his long gallop down the field. Jukes out the defender straight out of his shoes and stopped just short of the goal line. This next play isn't exactly long, but check out my boy Backpack Mac Hollins. Catches the ball off the defender's helmet. He couldn't do anything wrong on Saturday. He's so happy he's just got to go and run and give Ryan Switzer a big hug. Austin Prohl makes another appearance for this 33-yard catch, and Hollins ends the night with, why not, a 42-yard touchdown catch, his third of the game. 7 big plays for the Tar Heels, and the score sums that up. 50-14, Carolina.
That score brings us to this week's Extra Point. Carolina's 50-14 win against Wake Forest was its largest victory margin against an ACC opponent since 2000. That's 36 points. The last time the Heels had a margin so large was when they beat the Blue Devils 59-21 on November 18th of that year. Joining us now is football analyst Amanda Lee. Amanda.
Pretty solid win for Carolina against an ACC opponent, nonetheless.
That's right. The Heels got off to a slow start, though, and a lot of that had to do with Marquise Williams. Being the quarterback, Marquise is a big part of setting the tempo. Sometimes he can hold on to the ball a little too long, but he ended up making this pass out here to Bug Howard. Because he needs to be decisive whenever he's in the pocket and whenever he's throwing or running the ball, because he's a lot better when he plays on instinct. Check out that pass to Mac Hollins. That's an example of when he's at his best.
So those suspensions turned out to not really affect the defense that much on the game on Saturday. Malik Simmons really stepped up after getting the starting nod, replacing MJ Stewart.
That's right. Malik's had actually a very solid, respectable game. He only had 2 tackles, but he did have 1 pass breakup, and that was really helpful. And if these suspensions do continue, I think that'll be really great to have him come off the bench and replace MJ Stewart.
Indeed, that will be very helpful for the Carolina defense.
Yeah, and the defense has actually also happened to get off to a slow start as well. Against Wake Forest, they allowed over 250 yards in offense, but after the halftime, they ended up only allowing 62 yards. That's pretty impressive.
Another player who stepped up, we saw a lot of Jalen Dalton on Saturday. What did you think of his performance?
That's right. Jalen Dalton made his first start after coming off of they took his red shirt off and he ended up making his first start. He had 3 solo tackles and 1 assisted tackle, and he ended up playing a really great game. I think that he's going to be a big player in these upcoming weeks and years.
Now, moving from defense to special teams, there was a bit of a controversial call on Saturday.
That's right, and it was pretty bad. Let's hear what the fans in Keenan have to say. It started like any other play. Ryan Switzer catches the ball, returns the punt, turns the corner, and turns on the wheels. Check out that sweet juke, wide open space in front of him. Man, look at him go. Diving into the end zone, touchdown. But wait, what? Nope, that one's coming back, and Switzer is not happy about it. No, no, no. The refs are going to say that this hand motion right here was actually a fair catch signal. I don't know about that one, guys.
So to add insult to injury, he got that delay of game penalty, but let's not forget that it was a play catch and the Wake Forest defenders ran into him. So we thought that that should at least be a kick catch interference.
Definitely not a good look for the ACC refs on Saturday. And you know what else isn't a good look? Did the Heels have an little extra motivation on Saturday? Well, on National Signing Day, Wake Forest special teams and tight ends coach Adam Shire tweeted, "Breaking, WF demonstrates you can come to North Carolina, earn a degree at a school that's not unclear about the definition of student athletes." Wow, talk about a hot take. The not so subtle dig about UNC and the academic scandal upset many of the players, especially Ryan Switzer. After the big win on Saturday, Switzer had this response: "Nothing unclear about 50-14. Looks like the Tar Heels got the last laugh."
That's right, football analyst Amanda Lee live in our studio. Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks.
Elijah Hood had another big game Saturday night, taking 8 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown. He was a heavily scouted recruit coming into UNC, but that wasn't the only scouting he was involved with in high school. Brett Thompson has more.
Elijah Hood has become a superstar in his second season, leading UNC in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. What you might not know about the sophomore sensation is that he's an Eagle Scout.
My grandmother introduced me into Boy Scouts when I was in elementary school. My dad and my uncles all did it, but they never actually got all the way up to Eagle Scout. So I was the first Eagle Scout in the family.
Hood was a member of Troop 172 at Our Lady of Consolation Church in Charlotte. It was there that Scoutmaster Harry Scott helped shape him into an Eagle Scout.
I knew from the get-go that this was going to be an Eagle Scout.
Hood had to balance classwork, scouts, and football in high school. The need for that kind of balancing act is something Scott used to motivate Hood.
One of the things we teach young men all the time is you can do it all. You know, you just have to learn how to balance your time.
To become an Eagle Scout, you must earn 21 merit badges and complete a community project. It was this gravel parking lot at Our Lady of Consolation Church that Hood built for his Eagle Scout project.
It was a group effort. I had a lot of help from a lot of people. A contractor donated all the gravel, which saved me a ton of money. And I just had to buy the parking brakes. And somebody was able to loan me a bulldozer somehow. I was able to get a Bobcat.
And while Hood is no stranger to bulldozing defenders, he wasn't allowed to do the same to his gravel lot.
I didn't use the Bobcat. Some people always ask me if I used the Bobcat. No, I did not operate the machinery.
Did you want to?
I did want to, but they didn't let me.
Fortunately for Heels fans, the coaches are letting Elijah Hood do just what he wants to do on the field. In Charlotte, I'm Brett Thompson, reporting.
He's doing what he wants, but it sure would be nice to see him do a little more of it. Did we mention only 8 carries on Saturday? You can catch Eagle Scout Elijah Hood and the Tar Heels in action at Kenan Stadium this Saturday when they host Virginia at 3:30. Hey girl, what are you doing this Friday night? You should probably make your way down to the Dean Dome and spend late night with Roy.
Got any plans this Friday night? You should cancel that Netflix and chill date with Bay and head on down to the Dean Dome for Late Night with Roy. Late Night with Roy is this Friday, marking the first practice for the men's basketball team. This free event is for any Carolina fan, complete with scrimmages, music, and dancing by the Tar Heel men's and women's basketball teams. The late Stuart Scott, who passed away at the age of 49 earlier this year, will be honored prior to the event. Scott hosted Late Night with Roy 10 times. In case you need a reminder, here's the team you'll see at Late Night with Roy. The Heels, led by senior point guard Marcus Page, appear to be strong and poised for a deep tournament run with 4 of 5 starters returning. Expect forwards Bryce Johnson and Justin Jackson to build on to their success from last season. In addition to these veteran players, the Heels now have forward Luke May and guard Kenny Williams, and will also have a healthy Theo Pinson returning to the mix. The team starts this season ranked number 1 in the nation by the USA Today coaches poll.
Even though the Tar Heels baseball season doesn't kick off for another few months, there's one former Tar Heel who is playing baseball in October. The NLCS is in full swing, and former Tar Heel pitcher Matt Harvey started Game 1 for the New York Mets. Harvey was dealing. He pitched 7 2/3 innings and racked up 9 strikeouts like that nasty one on Kyle Schwarber. Grab some pine, Schwarber. New York may be chilly in October, but Matt Harvey is heating up for the Mets. He is definitely a must-see talent, and the Mets could very well bring them their first title since 1986. The women's soccer team returned home Friday night, looking to bounce back from a tough road trip and its first 2 losses of the season. A crowd of 4,000 packed Fetzer Field to watch Carolina face the Blue Devils. Duke stepped on the gas early. Tar Heel keeper Breanne Heberlin made a good save to keep the game scoreless, until just before halftime when Duke forward Imani Dorsey breaks through, twisting the ball right under the crossbar. Well, UNC didn't sit down easily, though. The Heels rattled off 10 shots in the second half, but they just couldn't find the back of the net. Annie Kingman lofted that one just over the frame with a left-footed effort. The final score was 1-0 Duke. Men's soccer traveled to Winston-Salem Saturday night for another football showdown with Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons opened the scoring in the first half with a left-footed blast by Ja'Cory Hayes. Take another look as this shot kisses the inside of the post and finds its way into the net. Fans in Winston-Salem pretty happy with that one. Carolina had its chances in this one. This is Alan Wynn with a superb strike, but the keeper with an even better save. Here it is again. My word, what a phenomenal fingertip save from the Deacons goalie. Here's another attempt as Jonathan Campbell found a head on this corner. There it is again. The ball just skips against the wrong side of the post and goes over. The Tar Heels suffer their first loss as Wake Forest won the match 1-0. Let's go live to our satellite studio where football expert Luis Fernandez. Luis, we are not used to losing when it comes to the beautiful game.
No, Rivers, you're totally right. We aren't used to losing. It's called the beautiful game, but it can also be very, very cruel, which was the case with UNC soccer this weekend. Both men's and women's lost. We're going to focus on women's soccer first, though. They've lost 3 games in a row, 2 away and 1 at home, and that's only the second time that's happened in program history. That is very rare for UNC soccer indeed. The last time came in 2011. It's rough sailing for them. They actually dropped an RPI poll, which takes wins, losses, and strength of schedule. It's fresh off the presses. Came out about 4 o'clock today. And they're actually number 7, which is pretty low for them considering they were number 1. When we go in depth here, before the losing streak, UNC women's soccer was plus 33 in goal differential. They're dominating opponents, and since they started this 3-game losing streak, they're minus 3 in goal differential, showing that they're losing tight, close games. They're just tough conference opponents. When we look at men's soccer, they're now number 2 in the RPI poll after losing. And, it's actually not that bad. UNC fans shouldn't worry too much because they lost to now number 1 in the RPI poll, Wake Forest. It was a tough game in opposing territory. Now, when we go ahead and look forward at what they've got ahead, we'll start with women's soccer. Things do not get any easier for them. They play, we're going to start with men's soccer here first. They've got at Campbell, followed by number 23 Louisville, followed by Northeastern, and then the last game, this isn't on there, but it will be against number 23 UVA in Charlottesville. And then when we go to women's soccer, looking ahead, they've got number 14 Notre Dame, number 6 Clemson, and finally finishing up at Miami. Not the one in Ohio, no, the one in Florida, just in case you're wondering. And they're all looking forward to try and get in the good rhythm coming in the ACC tournament, which will be in the beginning of November for each squad. So, fingers crossed, guys, they can get things back together. But, I wouldn't worry too much if we're UNC fans, which we're supposed to be unbiased. But we'll see where things go. Rivers, back to you.
Soccer expert Luis Fernandez live in our satellite studio. Thanks, Luis.
It's common to see student athletes take a redshirt year to focus on improving their skills, but what if you're already a starter? Luke Akinsola caught up with a 2-sport sensation who's taking a year off from one of those sports.
Maggie Bill is in a class of her own. The junior standout has started every game for Coach Jenny Levy's women's lacrosse team since she's been in Chapel Hill. Bill was also a starting defender for a soccer program that's a perennial powerhouse. The All-ACC performer is hoping to lead the Lacrosse Hills to the program's third national championship appearance in 4 years, but she's taking a break from soccer.
I want to do well athletically here, but also academically. I chose here because it was a really prestigious school, and I just want to make the most of that.
Like any competitor, Bill wants to be out on the field at all times, but being in the classroom is also important.
I really would like to use this semester to obviously boost my GPA and do the most I can academically, and I think not having that travel time will allow me to do that.
Hall of Fame soccer coach Anson Dorrance believes the sky's the limit for Bill when she returns to the pitch.
And she's going to commit herself for the final 2 years of her eligibility to see what she can do, certainly in both sports, but also see if she can chase a pro soccer dream following that. And her redshirting this year is going to put her in a very good academic position.
Getting good grades at UNC is hard enough, but to do that while playing 2 sports at an extremely high level, Bill hopes this season of preparation will lead to a couple more banners on these boards.
But hopefully we'll be national champions by then, and I'm definitely working towards that goal.
Bill hopes concentrating on one sport will help the lacrosse team avenge last year's heartbreaking loss to Maryland in the finals. In Chapel Hill, I'm Luke Akinsola reporting.
Bill is currently a junior for the lacrosse team, but only a sophomore for the women's soccer team because of redshirting this year.
Jordan, I gotta ask you, what's better than some sets on the beach?
UNC volleyball took on the state of Florida this weekend. Volleyball took on the 18th ranked Seminoles of Florida State on Friday night in Carmichael Arena and pushed the match to 5 sets. After losing the control of the first set, the Tar Heels fought back to claim their home court glory in the second. Paige Neuenfeld had a whopping 8 kills in this second set, helping the Heels even the match at 1-1. But good things have to come to an end as the Tar Heels battled to keep the fourth in their hands, slipping 25-21, forcing an appearance of a deciding set. With FSU playing tug-of-war with the dominance of the fifth, they attained one lucky serve that gave them a 3-2 win over the Heels. With this loss, Carolina has plunged to an 8-8 record. The team went on to straight demolish the Miami Hurricanes, though, on Sunday in a 3-set sweep. The star of this show was Victoria McPherson. The 6'2" senior middle blocker lit it up for the Heels. She had a team-high 7 kills on the afternoon, and wait for it, there's another. Her size up front helped the team gain that easy W against the Canes. The Heels are now 6-2 in ACC play.
The Heels are competing pretty well in the men's tennis ITA championship in Cary. Just this morning, senior Brett Clark clinched a spot in the ITA regional finals. Clark defeated John Ho from Wake Forest in 3 sets, 6-3, 6-7, 6-3. This marks the 4th consecutive year a Tar Heel has made the regional finals. Not too shabby.
Number 3 Carolina and number 4 Duke squared off on Friday night, and I know what you're thinking. It's not basketball season. You're right, it's field hockey season, baby. Carolina drew blood first with this rocket from Malin Ever into the bottom right corner. What a shot. That goalie had no chance. Duke would tie the game at 1, but Casey DiNardo would deliver the dagger. The Heels would capitalize on a Duke penalty, and DiNardo puts it home. Oh, you fancy, huh? We gotta see that one again. She stops it and then backhands it past the goalie. That was sweet. The Tar Heels defeat the Blue Devils 2-1. UNC's field hockey team dominated the turf on Sunday with a 5-1 win against VCU. The Heels are ranked number 3, improving to 13-1 on the season. This also marks the 600th win for Coach Karen Shelton, making her the second coach in NCAA Division I history to have 600 wins.
Cheeseheads and Badgers dominate the sports scene in Wisconsin, but on Friday, several Tar Heels tore up the tracks of the northern state. The men's team came in 29th overall. Juniors Mark Derrick and Stephen Mullerin finished with personal records just over 24 minutes. They placed in the top 50. The women's cross-country team finished 19th in the Wisconsin Adidas Invitational in Madison. Sophomores Carolina Alcorta and Hannah Kristen recorded personal records around 20.5 minutes. They finished in the top 60. Both teams will compete in the ACC Championships at the end of the month in Tallahassee. Do you run more than 100 miles a week, brush your beard with a bamboo comb, and enjoy peanut butter and ramen sandwiches? If so, then you must happen to be related to Stephen Mullerin. Jack Friedman tells us more about the mountain climbing cross-country captain.
Junior Stephen Mulheron is a cross-country star and self-proclaimed mountain man. This summer, he took on the second highest peak in Wyoming and set the third fastest time on its trail.
I really like the Grand Teton over in Wyoming. That's my favorite mountain in the United States. I really want to get good at climbing mountains, become like a respectable mountaineer, but I'm in the early stages of that because I'm stuck here in North Carolina, so I'm really working on the running part.
Mulheron also worked for a whitewater rafting company in Wyoming, which he says was a good way to recover from all the running. Instead of finding somewhere to stay each night, Mulheron would sleep in his car. As you can see, he can easily set up a bed in the back of his prized Subaru Forester. He says it's actually quite comfortable. His room is filled with the prizes of a mountaineer, including a band of Himalayan flags, a 0-degree sleeping bag, and a pair of Longhorns from Arizona. Head cross-country coach Mark Van Alstyne says Mulheron's climber's mindset has helped him become one of their leaders on the track.
He likes to foster kind of this hardcore mentality, this mountain man persona, and I think with that comes a certain degree of toughness.
Next summer, he hopes to return to the Grand Teton Trail to set the fastest time.
It really just depends on how my running goes this year, but I could see myself back out west pretty easily.
Mulheron also wants to win an All-American title at Carolina before he graduates. He recently finished 3rd overall in the Adidas Cross Country Challenge, proving he just might have what it takes to climb that mountain. In Chapel Hill, I'm Jack Friedman reporting.
In order to reach All-American status, Mulheron needs to place in the top 40 in the national rankings.
Sometimes size does matter, especially when you're talking about a coxswain.
Calm down, people. We're talking rowing when Sports Extra returns. UNC is home to some of the most elite college athletes in the country in almost every sport.
Nathan Bernstein tells us one of the newer additions to Carolina doesn't quite have the same background in athletics as some other Tar Heels.
Sophomore Sammy Jo Holzer walked onto the women's novice rowing team as a coxswain about 2 months ago. She's completely new to the sport. In fact, she might be one of the very few Division I athletes who can say this.
I have absolutely no prior athletic experience whatsoever. Ready, and up. I got into my mind that coxing was something that was possible that I could do because I'm a very small, very fragile human being.
Not knowing much about rowing, I asked Coach Anthony Brock what exactly a coxswain does.
A coxswain is basically the coach on the water. They are in charge of motivating the crew, steering the crew. A racehorse has a jockey. Yeah, the crew needs a jockey as well.
At 5 foot 90 pounds, she's the ideal size for a traditional coxswain. But her stature isn't what drew her to the position.
Well, I'm a very competitive, very outgoing, very loud, very stubborn, and very bossy individual.
Still a rookie in the most extreme sense, Holzer has quickly adapted to a position defined by leadership and communication.
It's impressive that she's picked up so quickly, but what we're looking for is, someone with the right personality and the ability to take control of any situation we throw them in. It's for little angry people. That's what we look for.
I don't know about angry, but Holzer shows the potential to make a big splash for Carolina rowing. In Chapel Hill, I'm Nathan Bernstein, reporting.
5 feet tall, loud, stubborn, and bossy. Kind of sounds like someone else that I know.
I don't know who that would be. It's definitely not me. I'll say
No
that
idea.
much. The
No.
5 feet part, maybe.
Maybe.
Not the angry part.
Maybe.
That's for
I'm sure you would be a great coxswain if you wanted to. That does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.